Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe, now redubbed Legends. I have today what may be, at least for now, my third favorite Star Wars novel. Darth Plagueis, the entire Bane trilogy. I can't choose one. Of course, Path of Destruction would be the best. And then New Jedi Order, Book 13, Traitor. What can I tell you without getting into spoilers? This book is all about Jacen. We have gone 3 books without knowing what's happened to Jacen. And this book chronicles all that time we've been viewing in Dark Journey and Enemy Lines 1 and 2. We get to see what was happening to Jacen during all that time. The Force is questioned, very much like KOTOR 2 did. Subversion of expectations. You know, like Rian Johnson said for The Last Jedi, except done well and not hindering what came before, not ruining what came before, just to fit his narrative. No, this still encompasses everything we've known before. Just question some things. Makes you have to think. This is a huge character progression from Jacen Solo. We go from the teenage boy who wanted to grow up, wanted to become a man, wanted to know what he was supposed to do, to whatever he is now. This book will shape events for the future. I've heard many arguments for stuff in the future, which I'll get into extra spoilers for stuff down the road. Because people like to say, this is the book I use to explain why the other books don't make sense. And, I mean, I haven't read them yet, but I have some issues with that just based off of that little comment. But we'll get into that in spoilers. In short, this book is fantastic. 5 out of 5. That's what I rated it on Amazon. And it is worth your time. Hell, I'd say, if you didn't know if you wanted to start the New Jedi Order series, or you didn't care to, I would say Vector Prime, Star by Star, or this book. Could be glimpses. I mean, it'll have spoilers for stuff, but these are good glimpses into the series. But Matthew Stover, which I'd even mention, Traitor is written by Matthew Stover, who also wrote a book that I'll review long into the future when I get into the prequel era, called Shatterpoint, which focuses on Mace Windu. And he wrote the Episode 3 novelization, which many people consider the definitive version of the events of Episode 3, because they think the book is a million times better than the movie. And while I agree and disagree at the same time with that fact, because of certain things, which you can watch my discussion on it, though I'll probably talk about it again at some point. But this book was excellent. This is because usually, you know, life is going on and stuff and whatnot. So I like maybe get 150 pages in like a day, or if I'm really into it, then I finish it the very next day. So usually it takes me around like a day and a half or 2 days and a half to finish a book. I went all the way to page 230 from 11:30, because I was finishing up Enemy Lines, 11:30 p.m., no, not p.m., a.m., and then I read that before I went to, and then I was also hanging out with family and stuff, so by the time I was done, I was on page 230 already, and then I finished it today. And so, of course, this is, by the time you see this, I'll be long done with this, but it was, this series, this book was amazing. The dialogue, the writing, the character. It's such a small cast of characters, especially for the first 2 acts, that it's just such a big character study that you just get all of that, because you're not zipping around at different people. You only have like 4 main people in this entire book. You just focus on them, and it's so good. I cannot fully explain to you how amazing this book is, but it is well worth your time, and is a worthy addition to the new Jedi Order series, and as of right now is my favorite book in the new Jedi Order series. Anyway, I'm getting to spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, time to get out. Alright. So, Book 13, Traitor by Matthew Stover. So, one of the first things I wrote down was at first, when we first start reading the book, Jason's being tortured and tortured and tortured, embracing the pain. And he's blocking all of his family out because he doesn't want them to feel that if they go searching for him through the Force. So at first I thought that's the explanation for why they can't feel him. He's just blocking them. But that may have been true for like the very beginning. But then Virgie, the mysterious alien lady that was with that lady in Agents of Chaos and is now become this mysterious figure, this Force user in the expanded universe, which I have no idea what's up with her. But she somehow takes the Force away from Jason. So when the Force is taken away from him, in Dark Journey and everything, they don't feel Anakin anymore. Sorry, not Anakin, Jason. I hope I haven't been saying Anakin this whole time. And because of that, they think he's dead. I mean, I know Leia's still holding on to hope, but Jaina thinks he's dead because she can't feel him anymore. That's because his Force power got taken away. And my next note is that this book is just so intimate and isolated and harsh, especially the first part of the book, before like the very end of it, before we get to the second act. It wasn't like hard to get through like it was in Star by Star, because I continually found me like changing the page, but it's like torture, philosophical discussion, torture, philosophical discussion, pain, discussion. That just goes on for so long and over and over and over, and you really feel for Jason. Next note, I really loved Nominor talking to Yuuzahn Vong, talking about how our heroes from the movies were working for the Vong gods without even knowing it. Saying, if the Empire was here, we would have gotten destroyed. They would have totally annihilated us. And then, Yuuzahn Vong's like, that's blasphemy, that would never happen. He's like, of course not. They wouldn't. That's why the heroes won. That's why Luke Skywalker defeated the Empire. So that we could come and claim it. And I just love that. It was such a good quote. Nominor's whole plan is to turn Jason to the dark side. Not the dark side, to turn him to the Yuuzahn Vong. Because if he joins Yuuzahn Vong, that will completely drop morale with the rest of the Jedi, and will fill sort of that prophecy that I don't even know if he fully believes in, but it would make the other people really happy if that happened. So Coruscant becomes Yuuzhan Tar. It's reformed and changed. The entire planet changes to be more like what the Yuuzhan Vong would want. Then we get, I think it's in the first act or the second act? I think it's the first act. Jason uses these juvenile ampastaffs to kill a Vong. So, because at this point he doesn't have the Force, but he's like getting, he's always had that thing with living things, so he's speaking to them, and because, these are living things, the Amphstaff, and they, like, attach themselves to him, and he's able to use it to attack and make weapons out of it and attack the freaking Vong. And that entire section of the book where he's freaking breaking all the duriums, the thingies, what are they, how do you explain it? What are the things called? The thingies that, like, can make the people be slaves or whatever. He's, like, killing a bunch of them or whatever. That entire section was super, super cool. And since he's killing these things, he feels as if who he kills doesn't matter, and that scares him. I like that, like, little thing we had in there, because he's always been about, like, the sanctity of life and always fighting as a last resort. And here he is just slaughtering. Oh my gosh, I didn't write down that as a note, but oh my goodness, I could make an argument that all the books prior to this have been PG-13, like a really, really hard PG-13. I don't think these have quantified as, I mean, minus, the, like, taking off the skin and stuff, but I don't know, it just, this book, he gets a Yuuzahn Vong to get touched by these freaking Amphstaff things, and he sits there as the entire room splays blood and guts, hits his face, and he's just like, well, I did that. Time to keep going, slaughtering more. And I was just like, oh my goodness, that's a hard R. Yeah, it's interesting because it feels like a really long time. Even though this book is shorter than Enemy Lines 2, it's shorter than a lot of the other books. But you feel like you're here for a while. And that we went from Jason, from Star by Star, to Jason, that we get by the end of this book. It's just crazy. So this was interesting. I'm not exactly sure what Virgie meant by this. I know it's not romantic, but she says she loves Jason. And I'm not exactly sure what she means by that. And I just find it so interesting why she cares so much about what's going on with Jason, unless she, like, had a vision or something about him prior. I don't know. Virgie, also, when they go to the old Jedi temple, this is in Act 2, I think, when they're on the outside of Coruscant, or sorry, Yuuzhan Tar. She talks about how she saw little Anakin. Not Anakin Solo, Anakin Skywalker, like from the Phantom Menace, showing up, to be a Sith Lord, to join the council, to be a Padawan. I was just, how old is her, and how long has she been around? Is she going to be in prequel novels? Like, what is this? What is she about? How come we never heard of her before? I don't know. Oh, this was crazy. Jason, for the first time, like Jaina did, uses Force Lightning on Virgie. So they get to the place, they get to the Jedi Temple thing, and there's a bunch of Vong there, and it looks like she's buddy-buddy with Naminor, and that all pisses him off. And he just invites that darkness, that anger, and he just electrocutes her. And like, topples down the building and makes a bunch of Yuuzahn Vong be crushed. It was amazing. It was a crazy crazy scene. I loved it. And then, he's talking about, like, how he's sorry and stuff to Virgie, and then they have this entire discussion, about the Force. He's like, I warned you what would happen. And she's like, stop making excuses. There is no sides in the Force. There's no light. There's no dark. If there's something dark in you, it's because it's you that is dark. It is you who has that darkness within him. And that freaks him out. And he goes back to his old home, Coruscant, and he just hallucinates. I'm skipping over a bit that happened, but he starts hallucinating Anakin. Anakin's talking to him. It's not a Force ghost. It's a hallucination. And he's just talking to this. And that whole scene was just so good. It was such a heart-wrenching, like, him talking about, like, how, he let a girl earlier in the chapter when he's running away from Vergi and everyone. And what happened to this girl because there's this freaking monster thing living underneath in the sewer section or something like that. And he killed them. And it was just rough. I really enjoyed it. But then Jacen seemingly joins the Yuuzahn Vong, though if you read the book, you know that's not true. Then we get to the third act in the story. We have Ganner see Jacen, and Ganner gets captured because of that. And Ganner has an amazing arc in this. I thought Ganner was fine. He was never an amazing character. This made me appreciate him a lot more, though, in this novel. And we reach near the end of the novel, and Jacen and Ganner, we talk about being yourself, whatever that means. And we learn throughout this whole book that, Ganner's had problem with arrogance, but we already knew that. But he's also been pretending to be hero, and pretending to be something that he's not. And he gives into the Force, and he had a Gandalf moment. None shall pass. You shall not pass. And he becomes an epic hero by just being himself. Of course, later on in the book, Ganner dies. But Jacen gets away so that we can have more with him in the future. Though, due to future events, maybe it would have been better had Jacen not survived that encounter, not escaped shit. Same time, maybe they needed him for other stuff. So, Nomenor's betrayed by Vergi. She leaves him tied up to be caught by Tezvong Law. And that's pretty much all my notes. I mean, there are specific conversations and stuff that I just didn't write down. So much of this book is interesting, though. Like, I wasn't too specific, and I was kind of vague. Even my notes weren't that very in-depth because I was too busy reading. Like, I couldn't stop. And I was like, oh, fudge, I haven't taken a note in a while. Let me write something down real quick. So this, I don't even have as many notes as I usually would. I was too focused on reading, I could not put it down, and I kept forgetting, hey, you're supposed to be taking notes, because you've been taking notes for every single one of these, but you haven't done it now. So, but take my word for it, or don't. This is one of the best books in the EU. Maybe you disagree, that's fine, let me know in the comment section below. But I loved this book. And I can't wait to continue going on in the series. This got me so pumped. Freaking loved it. I can't wait to see how everyone interacts with Jacen's new attitude and everything. Is Vergi going to stay around? What's up with her? I don't know. But I'm looking forward to it. Now here's the thing. This is going to be spoilers for Legacy of the Force. I know nothing. I know none specifics about Legacy of the Force. Other than the fact, again, if you don't want anything, though I think this is pretty common knowledge, but this is one of the first things I learned when I became to know of the EU, because I didn't like the sequels, and people kept comparing Kylo Ren to another character. Well, Anakin's dead already, and I'm pretty sure the character in the books is not a female, so it can't be Jaina, so that leaves only one other person. But again, if you don't want spoilers, then for future stuff, then please go. But Jacen Solo will become Darth Caedus in Legacy of the Force. What Kylo Ren, the Dollar Tree version of Jacen Solo, is. Now, I've heard a lot of people say, I mean, I haven't read stuff, so maybe their points are valid, but not from this book alone they aren't. They say this book is the reason why Legacy of the Force is stupid, and why it shouldn't be evil, and why it doesn't make sense, blah, 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 blah. I don't understand that. Yes, he didn't betray his family to the Vong. He stayed loyal to them. But at the same time, he electrocuted people. He's killed people already. He's already different. He's already viewing things differently because of Vergi. Okay? But yes, he hasn't turned bad yet. Anakin Skywalker slaughtered the Tusken Raiders. But he didn't become Darth Vader yet. It was a transition. It was a turning point to get him in that direction. At least that's how I see it. Yes, he's still a good guy by the end of this book, I understand. But he is different now. And it's just a huge chapter in his life, and I'm assuming other things are going to happen that will lead to this eventual progression. I will have to read it for myself, but I don't believe that the future books are going to ruin this character. But at the very least, this book in no way, shape, or form proves that stuff can't happen at all. He's already questioned what the Force is. He's already said the light and dark. He agrees it's all a bunch of baloney. He's already different now. He's already viewing things differently. The only thing he didn't do is betray his family with the Yuuzahn Vong. But that in no way, shapes, and form says that he couldn't become Darkseid. Anakin did. And that's just the thing with these. Like, people are like, oh, well, the movies of the prequels didn't explain Anakin's fall well enough. Go check out Anomaly Inc.'s videos on Revenge of the Prequels if you want to be proven wrong, because he doesn't even know what the EU is. He's never read it. But he defends the prequels by the prequels alone. But guess what? We have the story that George Lucas wanted to tell, and that's what you get. Episode 1. He's a sweet, innocent little boy. Absolutely nothing wrong. But you know what did happen? He never had a father. But Qui-Gon Jinn was kind of like his father for a little bit. A mentor. Then he dies. Then he gets an older brother taking care of him, treating him like a father/mentor. When he's never ever viewed him as such. He's only ever viewed him as brother. We get to episode 2. He's a bit more angsty. He's a bit older. Questioning his master. And then what happens? His mother dies. But he's not Darth Vader yet. But that is a major turning point in his character. Then we get to episode 3. His wife being pregnant, the fear of loss, the fear of losing the one he loves. Plus Palpatine's puppet strings from the background. All culminate in his fall. And that is plenty for the movies to dive over. Do you want his fall to the dark side to be even more in depth? That's what the EU is for. But the movies did what they wanted, and it was enough to show the progression of that fall, I think, personally. And I think Anomaly does an excellent job of showing that. But the point of this is that we had sweet, innocent, playful, funny Jacen Solo in the Corellian trilogy, in the Young Jedi Knight series. We had questioning, oh, I know better than all, I'm going to be enlightened, Jacen, for books 1 to 9. Now we have a turning point. We have a Tusken Raiders situation. He was tortured for months and 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 months. Wasn't that many months, but I just want to emphasize he went through a lot. He is a different character now. He's had character progression. So the idea, and we still have more books to go through. We have the rest of the new Jedi Order series. We have the Swarm trilogy, or what the hell it's called, the Dark Nest. And then we finally have the Fall. So the idea that there's no way for that to somehow evolve and happen naturally is stupid. Now maybe I'll get to it and be like, oh yeah, that just came out of nowhere. But I don't think so, because a lot of people said that about Anakin Skywalker's downfall, and I don't think it did come out of nowhere. Maybe it could have been executed a bit better, but it certainly didn't come out of nowhere. And the EU only helped expand upon that. So, I think people that use this book as a way to mean that Jacen Solo's fall doesn't make sense, I think they're wrong. I think this expertly shows how that could happen. He's not there yet. But He's changed. And this could lead into something dark down the road. So, that's my 2 cents. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, give a thumbs up. Sharing helps a ton. Let me know what you thought of this book in the comment section below. Make sure you're subscribed to Matt Wilkins and watching his, which will inevitably be better than mine, review of this book. And join me next time when we review Destiny's Way. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.